My first training ever was wrestling when I was 14 years of age. Wrestling in Australia, sadly, we don't have a wrestling culture like there is in America. We don't have it in our school system. So there might only be 2 or 3 wrestling clubs in each state, and there's 7 states. So there's probably 20 clubs in the whole country. So, which is really sad for me. But I started wrestling, and only because it was in a hall across the road from my house, a little church hall. And I did only 2 years of wrestling. Then the Bruce Lee hit, and I started doing, throwing side kicks like everyone else did. But every fight I got into in the street ended up double leg takedown, mount, punch them in the face till they stopped moving. Mm-hmm. I was still doing that 10 years later, as a silat practitioner, and not bullshit silat. Like there's 99% of silat's bullshit, and 1% they kick bags and do pad work, and they do it. But I was doing a style that was like that. Fought in the world championships there in Jakarta and did all those kind of things. But even with that, when I got into a fight, it was double leg takedown, mount, grab, punch me in the face. Right. So I always reverted back to that. So I always had that in me. So I guess that's part of the reason why later on when I saw jiu-jitsu, something resonated.
Yeah.
Right. Because I knew, yes, that's been my experience.
Right.
Now I'm like the tadpole, in the pool. My goodness, that's no good. I want to at least be the minnow. So, keep training. And then I was lucky in that Regan Machado was most influenced by Rollins Gracie. Mm-hmm. And for those who don't know the history of jiu-jitsu, Rollins Gracie in Brazil, often touted by many of the old school guys as being the best one ever. He was a kid whose mum worked for, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Pan American Airlines, Pan Am or something. She was a airline hostess. So Hollis, he had access to being able to fly to America for free and stay with his mum every couple of weeks and all that stuff. So Hollis would go back and forth to New York. This is way, way back. And so he was naturally in New York. Then he would be doing sambo and wrestling. And he ended up running the Brazilian wrestling team, like being the coach got some funding from the government to run around Brazil and try to get a team for the Olympics. So because Hollis was like that, he didn't play guard. He only played on top. He's known for taking people down, doing knee right and breaking their arms. So he had that kind of game. So the Machados were very influenced by him, that he was their favorite. So naturally, when Regan moved to America, he went, I'm sure I'm guessing, but he in his own mind is saying, I'm doing what my hero did. Hollis wrestle, I'm doing it. So Regan would get wrestling coaches in, and we did wrestling. So we were really fortunate that we were doing arm drags, duck unders, Russian ties to single legs and ankle picks. We were doing all that stuff from the beginning, where other jiu-jitsu guys, certain other people that were around at that time, they looked as wrestlers as the enemy.
Yeah.
Whereas we would be looking at them as, they're our mates who just fight. They got just different outcomes they want, but they're our friends. So there was quite a different approach. And, you can read between the lines there.
Yeah.